गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Jnaneshwari Bhavartha Deepika, chapter 16, verse number 12, OV number 337. And we are looking at how does this Asuri Vritti, the materialist person, having material in your life, having the goodies in your life, having good cars, having investments, having good clothes, having the flexibility to go anywhere, that is not bad. It comes by way of destiny. But then who are we talking about? When we use the word materialism, we are using here very clearly, Bhagwan is saying, the one who lives only for it. And what is his behavior, what is his attitude when he moves? Here we saw that from the 7th verse onwards, it was being told that, where are we? In the 7th verse, 7th verse, pravrittim cha nivrittim cha jana na vidurasuraha. Who is this asur? Who does not know when to withdraw and when to get involved in life. No shaucham chapi acharo. He does not believe in cleanliness, etc. So, in the 7th verse, lack of discrimination was talked about. Then in the 8th verse, because there is lack of discrimination being, what is the definition of discrimination? Discrimination is not between Chinese food and Indian food. Discrimination is between the truth and the untruth, real and the unreal, permanent and the impermanent. And when we are not thinking about the permanent, the real, the truth as against that which is, or the unchanging as against the changing, then automatically our attention in the 8th verse, his attention goes to the world of objects, time, space, objectivity, and he starts desiring things there, and he lives life only to fulfill his desires. Then in the 9th verse it was told that in order to satisfy his desires, eta drishtimavashtabhya nashtatmano alpabuddhaya, this dull-witted fool is ready to destroy the world in order to satisfy his desires. See, how many cases you have heard where the brothers are ready to destroy their sibling or sue their parents only for property. They don't have the guts to go and make it become successful on their own. So they are ready to destroy, they are ready to manipulate, they are ready to corrupt, they are ready to kill, they are ready to do whatever is required, and they justify it that Oh, if that is the price that I have to pay, then the world has to pay for for my success. Then it has to pay that, my way or the highway. Then that was the ninth verse. Then in the 10th verse we saw Kamamashritya dushpuram dambha manamadanvitaha mohad gृहीत्वा sadgrahan pravartante shuchivrataha. And such people with who have this bent of mind, they for them there is no end of desires, because it is also our experience. One desire leads to another 100 desires. So desire begets desire. Desire begets desire. You want to fulfill more and more because no desire is able to satiate you completely, make you feel content. So therefore you feel, if I satisfy more desires, then I'll feel content, then I'll feel content. Ravana conquered all the three worlds. The nether world, the earth and the heavens, yet he was not satisfied. Understand, these stories are not just hunky-dory. And thus they continue. When their desire becomes greed, when greed takes over, then there is no parameters. Any way, which way I can, I'm going to satisfy my desires. Then there is no right time or wrong time. There is no right people or wrong people. There is no right way or the wrong way. It's my way. So they do not follow the self-discipline when it comes to satisfying desires, and thus we told you that they end up in perversion. See? And thus these people, they become very, very, very obstinate in their view of the world. And thus that was the 10th verse. And then in the last week we saw towards the end, Chintam parimeyam cha pralayantam upashritaha kamopabhoga parama etavaditi nishchitaha. Here Chintam aparimeyam cha pralayantam upashritaha. See, so here it was told that worldly objects are all the means to satisfy their desire. That is their disposition. And here it says, and as a result, what happens when, as more and more wealth comes our way, more and more success comes our way, and if we have used all the wrong means to get there and get those things, to satisfy those desires, then such a person is always afraid someone should not take my success away. I have built it with such great क्या क्या बोलते हैं, जुगाड़ लगाया है. जुगाड़ लगाया है. That's the Indian term. So he is not able to have a peaceful sleep in the night. Why? Continuously worried. If the desires are not satisfied, he is worried, and if the desires are satisfied, he is still worried that whatever he has accumulated, whatever he has achieved, it should not be taken away by someone. See? And this goes on till death. This goes on till death. They keep the They will hand over the company to their children, but keep the checkbook with themselves or password of the bank account with themselves. Or in the olden times, the safe which used to be in the house, the key of that safe will be with them. You can use the cupboard which has the safe in it, but the key is with the father, with the head of the family. Where are we? 11th. Beset with countless worries that last until death, they become immersed in the gratification of desires, convinced that that is all. For such bent of mind people, on satisfaction of desires is the only way of life. And what is depression? What is anxiety? When too many thoughts are coming in the mind and you are unable to navigate through them, then depression happens. And what is anxiety and worry? When too many thoughts of the future, what could happen, what will happen, what may happen, then the anxiety, then the worries. How can I satisfy this desire? This is my bucket list. How am I going to get around? I have not even ticked off the first one. Still, so many are left. And I don't know how many more are coming. This life is not enough. I have to do whatever it takes. Beg, steal, borrow. And this goes on till death. Such people cannot have a peaceful death. Why? Mind is continuously being bombarded by the worries, anxieties. See? Now we come to the 12th verse. Asha pashashatair baddhaha, Asha pashashatair baddhaha, Kama krodha parayanaha, Kama krodha parayanaha, Ihante kama bhogartham, Ihante kama bhogartham, Anyayenartha sanchayan, Anyayenartha sanchayan. He says in the 12th, bound by 100 ties of hope, given wholly to passion and anger, they seek for the sake of sensual gratification to amass wealth by unlawful means. Asha pasha. Pasha means the snare, that which binds. And what is that which binds us? Hopes. Plan is different. Hoping is different. Hoping leads to depression. Hoping leads to anxiety. Hoping leads to panic attacks. But a person who is living in the now, planning for the future, yes. How many times do you need to plan? Every day? No. Maybe once a month. But work your plan now, and you can work your plan only in the now, in the present moment. But instead, we are neither performing in the present moment because our mind is only in the hopes, in the imaginations, in the expectations, and thus anxiety, worries. So neither, and whatever is in the future, nobody knows how it is going to unfold. But this much is sure, that if our action in the present moment is not righteous, perfect, done as an offering to the divine, then the result will be something. If it is done as an offering to the divine, living with full inspiration and joy, performing the act also in that attitude, then whatever the result comes, you take it as prasad. But this fellow, Asha Pasha Shatair Baddha, he is bound by hundreds and thousands of hope snares, hope hooks. And because there are so many hopes, there are so many wishes, see, and this is why it is told to us, do not, when we are living our daily life, do not live a life of likes and dislikes. We tell it and repeat it so many times. Bhagavad Gita has said it so many times. Do not live your life at the level of likes and dislikes. And after the satsang, you will say, Swamiji, that satsang was wonderful. I loved it. I liked it. Again, you create a like. And this is how we keep ourselves in the loop of what? Of, here it says, Kama Krodha Parayanaha. Likes and dislikes will create desires. They will create desires, yes. And all the desires can never be satisfied. Impossible. When desires are not satisfied, they lead to anger. See? They lead to anger. So kama is, asha is hopes, pasha is the snares, shataihi is hundreds and thousands, baddha is the bound, he is bound, and as a result, kama krodha, he is besetted with desires and anger. That becomes his way of life. It's talking about us only. He's not talking about someone else. He's talking about us. If the food doesn't come on time, we become angry. If we get tired, then we become angry. When we have a disease and we are not able to get out or become healthy, we become angry. When our desires are not fulfilled, we become angry. When we start doing, when we start thinking about the future, and the future doesn't bring us what we had hoped for, then we become angry. You can keep adding to that list. See? If someone is becoming an obstacle in what I am desiring, then we become angry towards that person. See? Ihante kama bhogartham. Even though they are so buffeted with greeds and desire, anger, and worries, as told in the previous verse, yet these buggers, these stupid fools, they are not ready to let go of the desire and anger. That's us. We are not ready to give it up. We continue to remain in that loop of anger and desire and anger. He still does not give up hope. He still keeps wishing, wish I become a millionaire. He keeps wishing, every Saturday goes and buys a lottery ticket. Keeps wishing that my $1 million will become 2 million in 5 years' time or 2 years' time. Every night checks his bank balance. Every day, every week speaks to his accountant. What is the status of the balance? How much money is left? Why is it not increasing? See? You see those people who are investing in the share market? Those who are doing it themselves? If the shares go up, you can see clearly how they behave outside and with people. And if they have lost money that day, you see how they are outside. Grumpy. If our children get good marks, we are excited. We bloat, spread the news to everyone. And next year, that child fails. Why? Because he is your child. Now, do you go and take the laddus to everyone? No. We are living this expectation. We don't accept the person as the person is. But we put so much responsibility on those young shoulders, as if the life is nothing apart from scoring 99 point some percentage, comparing them to other children. Anyway, now let's see what Jnaneshwar Maharaj says. आमेश कळवळू थोरी आशा न विचारिता गिळी मासा तैसे की जे विषयाशा तयासी गा वांछित तव न पवती मग कोरडियेची आशेती संतती वाढवू 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 होती कोश किडे आणि पसरिला अभिलाषू अपूर्णु होय तोची द्वेषु एवं काम क्रोधाहूनि अधिकु पुरुषार्थू नाही देहा खोलणे रात्री जागोवा ठाणा तरी या जैसा पांडवा अहो रात्री ही विसावा भेटेची ना. Just as the fish swallows without thought the hook for the sake of the bait, sexual desire makes them reckless. See, this world today, when it comes so clearly, he is saying it that way, that we are living in a, who was this? I think I spoke about it last week. What is that? Who was that psychologist? Freudian. We are living in a Freudian mindset, which has been imposed upon us by the West. And according to the Freudian mindset, every motivation in life is only because of the sexual desire. He keeps that up at the top, nothing else after that. And you see the newspapers, you see the ads, everything is going according to that only. Hope it changes. So just as a fish swallows without thought the hook for the sake of the bait, sexual desires make them reckless in order to be with someone, and that desire is for all the five senses. If they do not succeed in securing their objects of desire, so we are not only talking about the opposite sex, but we are talking about what I want to eat, what I want to wear, what I want to smell, what I want to hear, what I want to see, everything. See, at the body level, until unless you are not in an embrace with the opposite sex, satisfaction doesn't come. Similarly, until unless the eyes do not embrace an object for the mind, which the mind likes, it's also embracing. Ears are also embracing the sound. Tongue is also embracing. At the drop of a hat we say, oh, there was no chili, there was no spice, aaj maja nahi aaya yaar. What gulab jamun you have made, no sweet in it. Why did you make it? See, this is satisfaction. So the tongue went and embraced the sweetmeat, but became one with it, but the satisfaction was not there. So look at that in a larger scope rather than just man and woman. If they do not succeed in securing their objects of desire, they go on spinning futile hopes like a silkworm who spins a web around itself. And and that leads to depression. We keep remaining, we get thought fixated to satisfy a particular desire, and keep thinking and keep thinking and keep thinking and keep thinking. And in that imagination itself, we are looking for opportunities, we are looking for obstacles, we are thinking everyone in the world is conniving to not allow you to become successful by satisfying that desire, that wish. And you are not becoming successful because you start blaming everyone else in the world. This is all in your mind only. You are going into a cocoon, unable to see the big picture. When we get thought fixated, this is exactly what happens. If you want to get thought fixated, it's not the topic here in the verse. If you want to get thought fixated about the truth. Not about the object of the world, not Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha, not about imagination, not about waking, not about dream, not about something that which is coming and going. Get thought fixated about that which never comes and goes, that which is ever, then it is worthy. But this stupid fool, he keeps spinning a cocoon around, of these hopes, of these wishes. These are the threads, and he keeps spinning them, and eventually gets caught up within that cocoon and is unable to break free of those clutches, break free of those of that cocoon that he has built around himself. If their desire is thwarted, it turns into hatred, and then they think that the human life has no other worthy end than the fulfillment of desire and anger. If anyone comes in between, I have already explained this, if anyone else comes in between their satisfaction of desire, immediately they dislike that person, they have hatred for that person, they want to kill that person. On the face, hello, how are you, this, that, everything. Piche se, all planning is going on. He's the guy who has stopped me from getting what I want to get in life. And continuously your mind is doing overtime, planning, hoping, wishing how you can remove this obstacle, this person out of your way, so that you can satisfy your desire. See? And if you are not able to do that, you wishing, but you have been wishing and wishing and wishing, and that person is still not going, that environment is still not changing, the boss is still not changing, you are unable to fire that employee, you are unable to make your partner understand or your children understand, then when your wishes are not fulfilled, your desires are not fulfilled, your hopes do not come to fruition, anger, Jwalamukhi, volcano. The volcano eruption is directly proportional to your fixation of thought on the desire. The stronger the fixation of, the stronger the hope, the greater is the volcano. If it is a passing, desire, then a passing anger. But when you deep expectation, then anger is also equally deep, comes from the core. See? Like a watchman who has to keep a watch during the day and do the patrolling by night, they do not get any rest at night. Such people, they are fitful sleepers. They are unable to sleep continuously, have a contented sleep, deep sleep. If you are, how do you know you have lived a day healthily today? How do you know that you have performed 100% today? How do you know that you have not had too many hopes and wishes and desires? That you performed your roles wherever life kept you, whether with the boss or as an employer or with the wife or with the husband or with the friends or with the children. If you have performed your roles without expectations and you have lived your day fully without laziness, then the moment we come to touch the bed at night, before one thought, the moment comes, you're gone. But the people with so much anxiety, with so many hopes and wishes, oh, when will this COVID get over? I want to go to Peru. I want to see the Machu Picchu. I want to go to the Cancun Islands. I want to go to South Africa. I want to go and do this. I want to go to Kailash. Some people are SMSing me. That, Swamiji, what is happening for the Kailash? I said, you get some stones from the garden world and build a Kailash in your corner of your room and put some cotton and see that it is Kailash. Hey, why you have to ask such a foolish question? Can't you see what the situation is? I am also in the same country in which you are. But asking questions? So for such people, there is no deep sleep. They are ever on edge due to their hopes, and hopes lead to worries and anxieties, and thus they are ever on edge. Even in sleep they are on edge. Either it is because they have not satisfied their desires, or it is because whatever they have acquired by whatever means, they are afraid someone will take it away. So they are on edge, unable to sleep. Continuing, तैसे ऊंचौ नीलोलिटे कामे लोटिले कामे ने हटती क्रोधाचिये ढेमे तरी राग द्वेष प्रेमे न माती के ही ते विची जीविचिया हावा विषया वासनाचा मेळावा केला तरी भोगावा अर्थे किमना म्हणवनी भोगावया जोगा पुरता अर्थोपैगा आणावया जगा झोंबती सैरा एका ते साधूनी मारिती एकाची सर्वस्वे हरिती एका लागी उभारिती अपाय यंत्रे पाशिके पोती वागुरा सुणी ससाणे चिकाटी खोंचारा घेऊनी निघती डोंगरा पारधी जैसे ते पोसावया पोट मारुनी प्राणियांचे संघाट आणि तीत ऐसे निकृष्ट तेही करीती परप्राणघाते मेळविती वित्ते मिळाल्या चित्ते तोषणे कैसे. He says, so these demonical beings, who are these demonical beings? Asuras. And remember how we began the chapter, today's class? Those are the demonical beings. Roll down from the cliffs of unfulfilled desires and dash against the rocks of hatred. But in spite of this, their penchant for desire and wrath does not diminish. The more they get, more their desires are unsatisfied, the more their anger towards everyone increases. their anger increases, their hatred increases, and their disposition from smaller crimes, now it is bigger crimes in order to satisfy their desires. When they feel such an intense longing for sense enjoyments, how can they satisfy it with lucre? So they assail the world to secure wealth sufficient for the satisfaction of their desires. See, just because we have a mind doesn't mean that we have to keep harboring desire after desire after desire. See, for many people, desire is a motivation. In today's world, desire is a motivation. Oh, you are not thinking big. Don't we say that? You're not thinking expansive. You're not thinking big. Thinking big means what? Having a million, $2 million, $3 million house. Wishing for it. Wishing I have a company. Wishing I have another 10 million in my account. And now I must do whatever it takes out there in the world in order to get to that status. By what will happen if I come to that status? Then I will have all the means available to me to satisfy all my desires. Then I can travel anywhere, I can go with anything. If I see something and I like it, I will buy it straight away. If I hear something that I like, I will buy it straight away. Then I don't have to stand in the queue to go from here to India. I go in my own jet plane whenever I want, as many times as I want. I like something, I buy it. Why? Because I have the money, I have become successful. See? This is desire-oriented living. Just because I have the clout, I have prepared myself, I have built my life in such a way that don't mess with me. I have the power of the mullah. And money brings me power. Money brings me control. Money brings me the ability to make or break anyone's life. Money makes me satisfy every desire of mine. So that becomes their motivation, that I want so much money that I don't have to beg again. I don't have to think that, oh, I don't have the money to buy a chocolate. So many stories you see, movies you see, life stories you see, that they could not buy one meal. They were eating only one meal a day. So they went out there to conquer the world and they forgot God. They forgot God in that pursuit of the world. Are we becoming like that? If we are becoming like that, stop, check, assess, reorient, and move on. Nobody is saying wealth should not be there, but not by unrighteous means, not by hurting others, not by looting others, not by destroying others. So that is the intention behind this chapter and these demonical traits that are being talked about. When they feel such intense longing for sense enjoyments, how can they satisfy it without, I don't know the word, lucre? So they assail the world to secure wealth sufficient for the satisfaction of their desires. You ask any person whose daughter is not getting married, he falls into this. When they feel such intense longing. What is the intense longing? That my last responsibility is when my daughter gets married. See? But it doesn't stop there. Then for a few years, everything is fine. Now that intense longing is that I must become a grandparent. Where does this bloody end? Whole life we have been shifting the goalpost further and further and further and further. Now that your children are married, now that they are independent, let them be. De-link. Animal kingdom de-links. Once they are ready to fend for themselves. Human beings continue to remain attached till they die. De-link, decouple. And then what to do? That intense longing directed towards the divine. But no, sir. फिर मजा क्या है जीने का? If I can't have the company of my children, if I don't think about my children, is it wrong to wish for a grandchild? Is that not what marriage is for? See? Yesterday someone invited me, and for one purpose. And what was the purpose? स्वामी जी खाना खाने आ सकते हो? मैं कहा आ जाते हैं, उसमें क्या है, चले गए. And then my child has fallen in love. My child has fallen in love. What to do now? I never. Suddenly she is grown up, Swamiji, now what to do? मैंने कहा good, fall in love. If she has fallen in love, fallen in love. What can you do? Tell her to rise up now. Don't keep falling. इसमें सोचने की क्या बात है? देखो, अरे बड़े, the kids have grown up now. Let them live their life. See? But Indian parents will never let go of their kids. They will interfere in everything. Even after marriage, they will interfere in their family life. Then when the grandchild is born, even then they will interfere in their life. They will interfere in their work, they will interfere in their business, they will interfere everywhere. Till one day the child has to say, Dad and Mom, enough is enough. Let us live our life. Many parents want to live their dreams through their children because their desires were not fulfilled in their lifetime, so now they want to fulfill it through their children. Another longing. See, all the parents who want their children to become engineer or doctor, why you want them to become? Because you couldn't become. That is why. It's a noble profession. Why? Any other, no other professions are not noble or what? Only doctor and engineer for Indian and Chinese and Sri Lankan. Other professions are not there. So they assail the world to secure wealth sufficient for satisfaction of their desires. So that becomes a motivation, that I have come from poverty, that I have come from lack, that I want to satisfy. They see today everything that a child from village sees is the big hoardings of the cinema actors going in helicopters, going in Mercedes, wearing best of clothes. When he comes to the city, his eyes are all sparkling. He sees the shopping malls and everything. Oh my God! But he can't, he's not, the security fellow stops him. Hey, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to check. क्या? खुद फटीचर है, wearing all torn clothes, and you want to go inside. You are going to steal or what? And sometimes one experience like this becomes a motivational force for that child, and goes out to conquer the world. Why? So that he can satisfy. Now I'll buy the whole mall. And who was that guy, security guard, who told me that you can't go in? I'll kick him out of the job. Yeah. Remember in the early 19th century, the one Indian king, prince, he went to England, and he went to buy a Rolls Royce, and he was in his Indian dress. This fellow said, "Hey, get out, get out, get out." He didn't even allow him to touch the Rolls Royce, and that was the best car in those days. This is in Gujarat somewhere. He came back home, he got his lawyer, he bought 50 Rolls Royces, got them shipped to Gujarat. And you know what he used those Rolls Royces for in his kingdom? To collect garbage. And the news was everywhere in England that Rolls-Royce, this Indian Raja is using 50 Rolls-Royce for collecting garbage from the street. See, they came all the way to India and they bought the Rolls-Royces back from him. See, hatred can take you how far? Both ways. That white fellow hated this Indian fellow who didn't look like as if he had any money, and this fellow hated that fellow. This is what you give me the treatment. Don't you know I am a king and Raja Maharaja? I'll show you. Single-handedly bought 50 Rolls Royce. It was question of prestige for the Rolls Royce company. They wait for an opportunity to catch a person single and then kill him, completely rob someone and hatch out a plot to ruin another. This is the verse of the verse, When their longings, their intense desires are not satisfied, then they are ready to do whatever it takes, whatever price they have to pay for it. And we are not talking about price of money. They're morally they are zero, ethically they are zero, their conscience is zero, and they stoop so low they are ready to manipulate, kill, murder in order to others, in order to satisfy their desire. Just as a hunter goes to hunt on the mountain, equipped with snares, sack, nets, dogs, falcons, pairs of tongs, spears, etc., and kill many creatures to earn their living, so they too perform evil deeds. Now, see, and is this not what the Goldman Sachs and the Lehman Brothers and all these big companies? Is this not what they are doing? They buy healthy businesses just because they have the power of money. They buy it, break it up, and sell it off. They don't care about the jobs of the workers who have been in that company for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, sometimes even more. For them, these people don't matter. For them, only dollar matters. How we can increase the share value? How can we increase the dividend? How can we increase the profit? And for that, everything goes. Oh, they will find another job, That's not my concern. See? No heart. Only money talks. Only their desire to become successful. And then everyone's life, which is at their mercy, then they play with it. And kill. Now, here, with what gusto they acquire riches by destroying the lives of other creatures. See, today's supermarket shelves filled with meat. Filled with meat. How many animals must have been killed in order to come on those shelves, in order to come into those long life cans? Let it be tuna, anchovies, chicken, curries, this, that. And in the meat shop, how much do you need? But look at Aborigines. How do they live? If they kill a deer, the whole community survives for 1 week. Till then, they do not kill another one. नहीं यार पता नहीं कितना होगा. Let's collect some. No. Take as much as is required. Even the animal kingdom is more intelligent than human beings. They only attack and kill when they are hungry. They don't collect. But we, in the name of prosperity, in the name of desires, in the name of options, I must have a variety of, I don't know what I want to eat. So I go to supermarket, I got a whole variety. Now I can choose. Or I go to a buffet. Not buffet, what do you call it? Food court. Why? I don't know what I want. But I know I have a desire to fulfill my hunger. So there is meat, there is vegetarian, there is juice, there is coffee, there is all types of food. And still we are not able to make up our mind. What about when we were young? Whatever came in front, quietly eat and get away, isn't it? Because if you don't eat it, there are others waiting in the house to finish that off. See? This is prosperity for us. The more variety, more plenty, plenitude means filling all the shelves. And when the expiry date is over, all those poor animals which were killed for consumption are thrown away. Vegetables are thrown away. Where? In the ocean. Because so much, millions of tons of grain is thrown into the Pacific Ocean every year. Because if it comes into the market, then the price of wheat will go down. So to maintain the price of the wheat, all that excess produce, the farmer is paid by the government and rest of it is dumped into the oceans. All that is unconsumed by the expiry date is thrown away. That means that life was lost. For your satisfaction, that there is plenty on the shelves. I live in the land of plenty. That is Swarga. That is heaven for us. It is stupid living. But this is how, this is the orientation, this is the attitude, this is the disposition of a person with asuri vritti, with demonical traits. These are the traits that are being told. Where are we? Now in the 13th verse. Idamadya maya labdham, idamadya maya labdham, imam prapsye manoratham, imam prapsye manoratham, idamasti damapi me, idamasti damapi me, bhavishyati punardhanam, bhavishyati punardhanam, idamadya maya labdham, imam prapsye manoratham, idamasti damapi me, bhavishyati punardhanam. So here he says in the 13th verse, this I have earned today, this desire I shall gain next, this is already mine, more riches will come in the future. Are we living with this attitude in life? That, oh, what is today? What is the date today? 4th. Oh, still another 10 days to go before I get my salary. 15 days. See? You know, the when I used to work, it was common. In the first, every fortnight we used to get the salary in Australia. I think that's still the rule, or some places it's monthly. And my colleagues, by the 10th or 11th day, latest by 12th day, their salary is over. Then they will come. Hey man, can you please borrow me $20, $30? Can you give me $50? The moment salary comes, I'll give it to you. So last 3-4 days, they don't have any money. And this is not one fortnight. Every fortnight the same problem. So what do you do with your money, man? Well, money is to spend. I spend it. Where do you spend it? Drinks, eating out every day, go to discotheques, buy clothes. Can't you keep a check on that so that it lasts for another 3-4 days? Yeah, I try, man, but it doesn't work. Still, I got somehow it finishes by the 12th or the 11th or the 12th day. Are we one of those? See, today's society is like that. We are spending what we don't have. Credit card. We don't have that money, but we are spending. Why? Satisfying our desires. And many people have got caught up in that trap of credit cards if you are not disciplined. See? If you are disciplined that I'll spend only what I earn, then my credit card must be cleared to 0 every end of the month. Rule number 1. If not, you know what happens. Many of you must have gone through it and learned and come to live a disciplined approach towards those credit cards. See? What I have earned today, I will use what I have earned today to satisfy my desires. What about tomorrow? अरे यार कल का कल देखेंगे. आज तो जी लें. Let me fulfill my desires today. Then you find them in the pubs. This is a big problem in every society. If you go to Himachal Pradesh, there in the farmland, majority of the 90% of the workers are ladies. They take care of the home, they cook at home, they do the farming. And what does the man do? Whole day sits on that charpai or that chair in the sun playing cards, and when the wife gets the money after hard work, whatever she has been doing, wherever she has been working, gives her 1 or 2 takes the money away from her and goes and spends it on the booze. Because he thinks he owns the woman. See the attitude, demonic traits we are talking about. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, Mane aji miya संपत्ति बहुते कांचिया आपुल्या हाथी के लिया धन्यो नामी ऐसा श्लाघो जव जाये तव मन आणि कही वाहे सवेची म्हणे पाहे आणिकाचे ही आणू हे जे तुले असे जोडिले तयाचे नि भांडवले लाभा घेईन उरले चराचर हे ऐसे निधना विश्वाचिया मीची होईन स्वामिया मग दिठी पडे तया उरो नेदी. He says, the demonical person says, I have seized the riches of others, how blessed I am. No sooner he goes boasting like this than an intense longing catches hold of his mind. He says, I shall still rob the riches of other men, and using this money as capital, I shall secure all movable and immovable property. See, when you go to some countries, you go into a hospital, whether you need it or not, they'll make you do all the tests because they make the money. What is hospital for? To serve the society. What are they using the hospital for? For stealing money from you. Making you go through tests which you don't even require. I shall rob the riches of other men, and using this money as capital, I shall secure all movable and immovable riches, property. I can lay my hands on. I shall thus become the master of the world's riches, and I shall appropriate whatever comes within my ken, and I will pass it on to my family. Look at the Gunda Raj. Look at all the ministers. Look at all the so many zamindars, and today's politicians in India are like that only. Well, why they only India? All over the world, majority of the politicians, instead of serving the society, they are only serving their family, their kith and kin. Contracts go only to them. Today someone was telling me, Swamiji, no, Vijay Mallya is coming back to India. I said he will not come. Because I read somewhere yesterday or today, I think. Because Prime Minister of India and Home Minister, Finance Minister of India at that time, Chidambaram, and Prime Minister was Manmohan Singh, both wrote a letter to the bank manager to give the loan of so many 1,000 crores to Vijay Mallya. And this was proved in the courts in London. See? So it was not that he has embezzled. There is a bigger hand up there. Loot the taxpayers' money. And this you see in every society. You will see such people. But here the question is not what you see. Here the question is, are we becoming one of these persons? Are we having these demonic traits within us? Are we ready to do whatever it takes to satisfy our desires? Are we ready to kill, rob, steal from others? Are we living a desire-oriented life? Are we full of hatred and bitterness within ourselves towards others? Are we a non-believer in the divine principle? Do we believe that life is only what I see, hear, touch, feel, taste? It's today, yeah, God and all is good, scriptures is good, I go to satsang is good. But what the reason that we are not progressing in our journey in spirituality towards ourselves is only because the conviction that the world is real, the hope that I can achieve this, that I can improve the world, that I can add value to the world, that I can build more temples, that I can give more lectures, that I can make more people understand the true purpose of life, that I can start orphanages or sponsor children to complete their education. There's so much to do, good or bad. So, which means our attention is still on the changing world. Our attention is not on the spirit. Our value giving to the spirit is very minuscule. It's appreciated in the satsang. But by default, we are only thinking about the world, we are thinking about our relations, we are thinking about our kith and kin, we are thinking about our investments. We are thinking about how much do I need in order to survive if I live till 80. What else do I need to do in order to increase my wealth? And if you tweak the righteousness every now and then in order to satisfy your desires, it's okay. And then you say, oh, I am not like those corrupt politicians. Only one or two mistakes I have made here and there, but otherwise, more or less, I am righteous. Either you are righteous or you are unrighteous. If 1%, 0.1% you are unrighteous, then you are unrighteous. See? This is the lot. I shall thus become the master of the world's riches, and I shall appropriate whatever comes within my ken. Such is the disposition. So, from the 7th verse till the 12th verse, the traits, their disposition, the qualities of such person there was given, and now the attitudes towards the world is given in this world. That what is there at 13th, 14th, 15th? These 3 verses, or maybe 16th also. What is their attitude? Continuing, what's the time? असौ मया हतः शत्रुः, असौ मया हतः शत्रुः, हनिष्ये चापरानपि, हनिष्ये चापरानपि, ईश्वरोऽहमहं भोगी, ईश्वरोऽहमहं भोगी, सिद्धोऽहं बलवान् सुखी, सिद्धोऽहं बलवान् सुखी. असौ मया हतः शत्रुः, हनिष्ये चापरानपि, ईश्वरोऽहमहं भोगी, सिद्धोऽहं बलवान् सुखी. He says in the 14th verse, that enemy has been slain by me, I shall kill others too. I am the master, I am the enjoyer, I am successful, powerful and happy. They equate their happiness. Happiness is equal to how many ticks on the bucket list, how much money in the bank, how many possessions. See? And when it says that enemy has been slain by me, It's not that you don't have to kill another person. If you show another person that you are nothing compared to me, don't you bloody mess with me. You don't know what I can do to you. If this attitude is there, sometimes bosses behave like that with the staff. One person came, Swamiji, 3 days left. I got my 6 month probation is going to be over. Yeah, please bless me. I said, what happened? No, my boss, he's trying to act smart, and he's two times he has told me that, if you behave like this, the probation might not be coming through then. He's been indicating in this manner. So what should I do? What should I do? I said, who got you the job? The same fellow. See? So we want to make others to behave like we want them to behave because we are yielding the power to keep them in the job or to remove them from the job. This is exactly what is told here. That enemy has been slain by me. This is slaying. You are taking away his self-confidence. You are taking away his income by threatening him that you might not be confirmed. Sometimes don't we do that with our own kids in the name of discipline? Here Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, let's read that. हे मारिले वैरी थोडे आणि कही साधीन गाढे मग नांदेन पवाडे ये कलाची मी मग माझी होतील कामारी तिये वाचून ये रे मारी किंबहुना चराचरी ईश्वरू तो मी भोग भूमी चारावो आजी सर्व सुखासी ठावो म्हणवनी इंद्रुही वावो माते पाहुनी मी मने वाचा देहे करीते कैसे नोहे के मज वाचूनी आहे आज्ञा सिद्ध आन तवची बळिया काळू जवन दिसे मी अतुर्बळू सुखाचा कीर निखिळू रासिवा मिची. He says, the enemies I have killed so far are few. I shall slay some more and live happily a luxurious life. I shall make others slave for me and destroy the rest. In short, I shall become the master of the entire universe. Ravan comes, Jarasandh, Hitler, Napoleon, Alexander, Mahmud or Muhammad Ghazni, Kublai Khan. Conquer. They have to listen to me. I am the master of the world. I am the ruler all the way from China up to Baghdad. That long stretch he was controlling. The British Empire, the Akbar, Aurangzeb. Only through fear, only through atrocities they could control. Only through atrocities. I shall become the master of the entire universe. And this doesn't go only at the outer level, People kill their desires also, so that they can satisfy even greater desires. They sacrifice their smaller desires. So I want to get a siddhi, I will give up my the desire for food and the desire for sleep and desire for social interaction. I'll give up all this and I will focus only on the siddhi and siddhi and siddhi. Because when I get the siddhi, everyone will come and fall at my feet. They will pay me money and I will encash that siddhi. Because then I can, if they don't listen to me, and I'll curse them. If they don't do what I want them to do, I'll curse them. See? So in the inner world also same thing happens. Don't try to be master of the mind. It is good to say that. Mind is our friend. He is not our enemy. Our interaction should be not that of that I am against me versus my mind. If you have that attitude, you can never progress in spirituality. Only in the initial, absolute initial stages, if the mind is too airy-fairy, that time you need to show its place. But the moment it learns to listen, then become a friend. Just like a small child, from the age of 5-6 years old, you should discipline the child. But once the child becomes a teenager, don't try to discipline him, become a friend. If you try to discipline him, you have lost the child. See? So first discipline the mind, initial stages, then become a friend. That I did that only for your benefit, my dear friend. I didn't do it to give you punishment. I know you want happiness. I know you want, we are talking about the mind. I know, oh mind, you want happiness. I know, oh mind, you want contentment. You want peace. You want tranquility. But the way you were, I knew you would never get it. I could see that. That's why I became a little bit strict in the beginning. But now let's work together. See, this is the way. Let's go back to the source. You and me, Aham and Idam. Make a friend. You don't fight with your mind in order to go to sleep. Do you? But a person with these type of traits, he fights with his mind every day. And when he doesn't get a sleep, then he goes to the doctors, gets the sleeping pill. That's artificial sleep, forced sleep, or drinks or drugs in order to calm the mind down. I shall be the king of this world and enjoy all pleasures, and even Indra, the Lord of heaven, will feel shame seeing my glory. Ravana, he had even Kala, he even had time under his control. All the gods, the Indra, the Lord of the mind, air, fire, air god, fire god, water god, Varuna, earth, everyone was under his control. All the directions were under his control. Time was under his control. Space, so of course it was under his control. He was the master of the three worlds. So was Hiranyakashipu. Even greater. These are Asuri Sampatti. These are the people having, when we want to conquer the world, we are Asuras. When we want to conquer the self, we are following the Daivi Sampatti. How can anything which I take up in my hand with body, speech, mind not be completed? You know, sometimes this feeling of of, what is the word? Uh, Inconquerability. That anything I touch, it is successful. Whatever I say happens. If I see someone and I like it, it will come to me. I have got no doubt about it. These type of people are also there. Such people are also there. How can anything that which I take up in my hand with body, speech and mind not be completed? If I have come and imagined a project, imagined an idea, conceptualized an idea, how can it not become successful? It has to. That arrogance. Because I have the wealth, I have the power, I have the people, I have the resources. Don't mess with me. What else is there to command and be? Who else is there to command and be implicitly obeyed? This is how the ego feels. Because it feels that the partner is mine, the children are mine, and they have to listen to me. They can't do anything. If daddy comes at home at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, the children run into their bedrooms. Why? Oh, dad likes peace. Dad, and then you come. Did you take shower? Did you finish your homework? Did you eat your lunch? Did you have your dinner? It's like a Hitler. It's like a military drill in the house. Not love. See? So everything is happening in clockwork when you are there in the house. And you feel, this is what family is. This is what family is. Everyone is behaving, everyone is doing what they are supposed to do, and you feel that it's all because of me, it's all because of your presence. And that presence is not, it is the ego. This ego feels bloated. Even death can boast of its prowess so long as it has not seen my power. If you learn Kayakalp, people with Kayakalp, people with yoga, people who propagate that live for 100 years, all this is, life is not for that. Those statements come only because they are still body identified. But once we accept that we are, anything that is born must die one day. It's inevitable. And when that death is coming, we don't know. So be prepared. See? But we, no, I have done 50 years of yoga. I have done pranayam. And in that arrogance, we are moving around. What happened to that Ramdev Baba's, the partner who started the Patanjali brand? At age 52, he's Ayurvedic. All the products are coming because of his research. But what happened to him? At age 52, heart attack. Till everything is going fine, we are indestructible. One challenge comes, gone. Then again, but that old habit has not gone. You will create infrastructure so that you continue to be in control. But you will never think that I must merge back into the divine. That is the purpose of this life, even while everything else is going on. This will not come to our mind, or to this asuric person. And who else is there to command and be implicitly obeyed? Everyone has to. Every one of us has a certain area of influence. It may be the family, it may be the workplace, it may be a friend circle, it may be in some sport where you are indispensable because you are master of your in that particular field, and therefore in those areas suddenly you are the boss. Truly, I am the sole repository of all happiness in this world. And why do we keep going to that area where we wield power? Because it gives us joy. Because we are recognized. Let it be out of fear, but at least, meri chalti hai. People behave themselves. I am able to add value. I am able to solve people's problems. What is the use of having Siddhi only for myself? No, I must use it to make the world a better place. So start Reiki, start pranic healing. And when this intoxication of helping the world becomes a bit too much, then you stop doing your sadhana and you start helping the world. Afterwards, what do you find? All the problems of other people are coming in your life. Then run. Swamiji, what is happening? I'm telling you, these things have happened. That's why these examples are coming over the years, last 20 years. I am the sole repository of all happiness in this world. Everything begins from me. Everything is happening for me. The whole world is turning around for me. The whole world is only for me to pick whatever I want because I have got the power, control, money, resources. And in this way, these asuras, these unrighteous, desire-oriented people, desire for the world oriented people, this is their attitude towards the world. We'll continue this topic. Another 2-3 verses are there in this about this attitude, and then the remedy is given. What happens to these people if they continue to be that, and how they can correct it, that is also given. So we'll see that in our, hopefully, in the, not, let me, another 2-3 classes it should conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you for being there. See you on Saturday.